Hi, welcome to the very first Mums in the Kitchen video blog. I'm Vanessa and this is my very own home kitchen. So I was wanting to just start bringing you a few little videos that just give you a bit more in depth than the recipes that I pop on the blog. Today I'm going to be making a delicious apricot jam. So let's get started. I've got myself here, I went past my local fruit shop the other day. Apricots were 99 cents a kilo. I can't go past a bargain like that, so I had to pull over the car, get out, got myself 2 kilos of apricots, and this is going to become a delicious jam that's great for either your home pantry or giving away as gifts. People love this kind of stuff, so that's what we're going to be making today. So I'm just going to start by chopping the apricots. Now of course you've got your lovely little seed in, so we're going to be de-seeding, and I'm just going to chop them roughly into quarters. So because it's jam, the apricots do really break down a lot and become really quite pulpy. So you don't really have to be too exact with your chopping. You can really just do it. Okay, so I've finished chopping all of the apricots. As I said, this is about 2 kilos of apricots. The next step is that we're going to cook the apricots, just start to soften them up. I'm just adding a cup of water to that, just to help with the cooking and softening process. So I'll just give it a bit of a mix, just get that water incorporated in, and then I'll pop on the lid and just bring that to the boil. Because we're making the delicious apricot jam today, you need something to go with your jam. So I'm going to whip up a batch of easy, basic, plain scones to have for morning tea. So I'm actually using the scone dough recipe that is from the Cheese and Vegemite scrolls on the blog. So that recipe is, of course, where you roll out the scone dough into a rectangle, you put your toppings, your cheese and Vegemite or whatever you want on top, you roll it up, chop it up, and there's your little scrolls that you bake. But these are just the plain scones. So what I've got here is 3 cups of flour, and I'm just rubbing into the mix about 50 grams of butter. So we all know the routine, you just rub the butter into the flour until it forms a consistency that's pretty much like fine breadcrumbs. So you just rub it away. You can also do this in the food processor. That kind of speeds up the process a bit, but sometimes it's nice to get your hands a bit dirty and just do it the old-fashioned way, the way Grandma used to make her scones, I'm sure. Okay, now that the butter's all incorporated, it's time to add the milk. I've just got a cup of milk here, so I'll just add that straight in, just kind of cut through the mixture. We don't want to overwork it, but I just want to pretty much bring the mixture together before I turn it out to knead. Okay, that's basically there. So I'm just going to pop a little bit of flour onto my workbench and get my mixture out. Just bring it together. Start quite gently at first. And let's knead that mixture. Now that the mixture's nice and smooth, it's time to roll it out and get these into the oven. So I'll just lightly flour my rolling pin so it doesn't stick, and we'll just get rolling. Now people have their own personal preference really about their scones, whether they like them big or small or round or square. You know, there's so many options, so really just do what you like. We're just going to roll that out. Me personally, I like my scones pretty rustic, which is kind of a cheats way of saying it doesn't really matter how they turn out. I'm just going to flour the cutter, and you just twist it onto the mixture and we'll pop it on. So we'll just get these onto the tray. You can do them fairly close together. The apricots have now been simmering on the stove just over a low heat for about 15 minutes. So you can see now they've really softened and started to go quite pulpy. So that's exactly what we want. So now it's time to add the sugar. Now this is an optional step, but today I have warmed the sugar. So I just spread it in my large lasagna dish and just popped it in a slow oven, about 100 degrees, for about 10 to 15 minutes. Just stirring it a couple of times so it doesn't get too clumpy. Now the benefits of heating your sugar are that it just dissolves much more quickly and easily once you add it to your apricots. So, and it also means that you're not adding something cold to something warm and kind of losing some of the heat that you've generated. So we're just going to add the warmed sugar. I've used about 2 kilos of sugar here. Now it does sound like a lot, but I have also used about 2 kilos of apricots. So the ratio is pretty much 1 to 1 when you're making jam. And when you think about it, your serving size when you have jam is only a couple of teaspoons at a time. So all the sugar has now been added to the apricots. I'm just going to mix that over a medium heat until the sugar dissolves. Then bring it to the boil, and it's going to boil on here for about 35 minutes uncovered. The scones are ready. They've had about 15 minutes in the oven at about 180 degrees, so you can see they're just lightly golden and perfect. Now it's time to get on to sterilising our jars, ready for the jam. Sterilising your jars is quite an important part in the jam making process. It's obviously really important in terms of hygiene and being able to keep it in your pantry for a long time. Easiest way to do it, I find, I just put them in a pretty slow oven, about 100 degrees, for about 10-15 minutes. So if you do that while your jam is just finishing, then they'll be ready at the same time. You'll be ready to jar up. The jam's been bubbling away for about half an hour, so it's time to see if it is in fact ready to go yet. So this is a really simple method called the saucer test to see if the jam is set. I've had this saucer in the freezer for about 10 minutes just to make it really nice and cold. You just pop a little dollop of your jam on the cold saucer, let it sit for about 30 seconds to a minute, not very long. I'm just going to run my finger through the jam. If it stays separate on 2 sides, you know your jam is set and ready to jar. If it runs into the middle, you know you've got to keep bubbling it for a few more minutes. So let's have a look. I'll just run my finger through. Almost ready, but you can see it is running back into the middle, so I will just keep it on the hot plate for a little bit longer. Yum. The jam is ready, and now it's time to jar it up. So I've got my hot sterilised jars here. I find the easiest way is to just scoop it up in a glass jug like this, and then you can just simply and easily pour it into your jugs, hopefully without making too much mess. Just pop it into your jars like that. Nice hot jars. This is a nice chunky thick jam that's going to be delicious. So there you have it, our apricot jam and fresh plain scones, perfect for gifts or a morning or afternoon tea. These recipes and heaps more you can find at Mums in the Kitchen. Hope to see you soon.